I want to start today with an interesting little side story that has not been getting a ton of attention, but I think is super interesting. And it has to do with this California versus Florida, Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis sort of rivalry, I guess you could say, that has been going on. Now, there is a lot of discussion of how Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor of California, really is gearing up to run for president in 2028. It's a candidacy I would be extraordinarily interested in, as I've said before. But part of what Gavin Newsom is doing is not only starting to do small fundraising events and kind of glad handing with potential major donors that would pop up 4 years from now for him were he to run. He's also trying to make the case on the national stage that the California story is a much more interesting story than the so-called Florida miracle that Ron DeSantis has been touting. Now, Gavin Newsom opened a challenge to Ron DeSantis for a debate. 2 nights ago on Sean Hannity's Fox News program, Ron DeSantis accepted the challenge. The crowd cheered. Obviously, this was pre-coordinated. Sean Hannity only asking about it because it was already determined that Ron DeSantis would say yes. But here's the moment.
You heard Gavin make the offer. Your answer is?
Absolutely. I'm game. Let's get it done. Just tell me when and where. We'll do it. And here's the thing, Sean. I mean, in one respect, the debate between California and Florida, has already been had.
Has it? Well, we're going to talk about that.
You suggest people have been voting on that. They've been voting on it with their feet. They have fled California in record numbers. Florida has been the #1 state for net in-migration. We have the #1 ranked economy, #1 now in education, crime rate at a 50-year low. But in another sense, this is the debate for the future of our country, because you have people like Joe Biden. They would love to see the Californication of the United States. Biden may not even be the nominee. You could have Gavin Newsom. You could have Kamala Harris.
All right. So what's the deal with Florida versus California? Now, I want to be clear. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't live in either state. I like elements of both states. You might assume that because I like Gavin Newsom and I think Ron DeSantis is a clown, that I have some interest in lying to you about California versus Florida. But the truth is, depending on what you value or prioritize, it's a pretty mixed bag. California is doing much better than Florida in terms of the economy, in terms of innovation, and along many other metrics. California has a more diverse, forget about the fact that California's economy is much larger. California's economy is far more diverse. In California, you have a thriving tech industry, thriving entertainment industry, the heart of agricultural production of the United States, some of the top flight educational institutions in the country, all in California and more. Florida's economy is dramatically less dynamic. Tourism and agriculture, basically, citrus fruit, vegetables in Florida. It is a much less dynamic economy. That's a reality. California's GDP per capita is almost 50% higher than that of Florida's. That suggests a higher standard of living overall. California has a GDP per capita of almost $96,000, the highest in the country. Florida's is significantly lower, $65,000, $95,000, $65,000. That's a dramatic difference in GDP per capita. Innovation is much more present in California, more patents per capita, more advanced research per capita, more development spending, more venture capital spending, more high-tech companies, more top-ranked universities, more top-ranked colleges than Florida. Of course, California has a state income tax and Florida does not, which the low tax people often like. But Florida has a higher sales tax. Florida has a higher property tax on balance. Does California have more pollution? Absolutely. Larger population, wildfires, jet stream is a factor. California has more pollution. That's true. California's homeless population has grown more quickly than what we have seen in Florida. That's true. Violent crime is higher in California than in Florida, although it's higher than the national average in both California and Florida. It's obviously also very localized in particular areas. So listen, it's a mixed bag. The idea that it's so obvious this, that, the other thing, or that Florida has won this debate and therefore the DeSantis policy is more logical than the Newsom policy. It's a mixed bag. It's bigger than just governors. The big picture, though, if you zoom out and ask the world, what do you think of the United States? What is your instinct on California or Florida? The world knows The innovation is happening in California, not Florida. The standard of living overall is higher in California, not Florida. Infrastructure is better in California. The world knows that story. Important as far as this DeSantis versus Newsom debate, if it ever happens, is that actually the facts are arguably not as important as charisma and the presentation of the debaters. We know that DeSantis doesn't exactly excel when it comes to charisma. We know that Gavin Newsom is very good in those situations. So I hope the debate happens. I don't know if it will. Sometimes making the sustainable choice can kind of feel like a bummer. Many of us have experienced those soggy paper straws and have wondered, is this what I have to do? And of course, I'm sort of kidding, but this is why it's important to celebrate sustainable solutions that work really well, but also help the planet. And a great example is our sponsor, Real Paper. 30 million trees are destroyed every year for toilet paper in the US alone. Real Paper makes toilet paper from bamboo. It keeps growing forever. No trees are cut down, and Real Paper feels like an upgrade from most toilet paper. Super soft, fluffy, affordable. It's not going to feel like a sacrifice or a compromise. You can find Real Paper at most Target stores and on Target.com. Target carries a convenient 12-pack box, the perfect size to try out. Easy to find, the only bamboo toilet paper, the only option in plastic-free packaging. Real Paper is a really easy way to fight climate change every day in your home. Make the switch today.